I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Brandon Wark. It's the Jeff and Brandon Show. Brandon Wark is the founder, operator of Free State, Colorado, the Liberty Lifestyle. He's a proud libertarian. Billy out this week. Brandon filling in today. By the way, tomorrow, Deep Singh Badesha is going to be in for Festivus, which will be interesting because we'll both be airing our grievances towards Democrats, but from different reasons. So, and then we're going to have a fascinating hour, 9 o'clock, as Lily Tang Williams is going to join us to have an interesting discussion with Deep Singh Badesha. So we will have a Democrat socialist and someone who's experienced communism debating each other live tomorrow at 9 a.m., which is going to be a ton of fun. So you're not going to want to miss it. Let's go back. Jam-packed phone lines. Brandon, they all want to talk to you, which is great. Let's go to Marie in Denver. Good morning, Marie. You're on with Jeff and Brandon Wark.
Good morning. I have a lot of questions about what is being said. First of all, I want to thank Mary in Wyoming, because she's absolutely right about the GI Bill. I'm older than she. I'm 84, but I'm white. And I know. Somebody said, why wasn't there a boom in 45? My God, we were attacked. This country mobilized so that we could save people, save us. And I was born before World War II, but you guys weren't. If we hadn't had, and they didn't volunteer, Jeff. It was the Selective Service was draft. But what we did for the GIs, for what they did, built the middle class. And that was very, very important. And it reverberates through generations.
Mary, you think the GI Bill built the middle class?
The middle class, yeah. That's pretty much an historic observation.
So we're spending more money now on housing than we did back then. Why is the middle class disappearing? If the government's spending more money on housing now.
Let me finish, okay? Because the government didn't, the GI Bill went to the individual. So the soldier, all he had to do was show his release from the military. And he got the free education, and he got the help with the house. That's the government just made sure that he had been in the military and was entitled. Now, and yes, it was tax money that he got. But now my question for both of you is, you talked about the time that we were a free capital country and we were much better off. And I just need to know, when was that time? Because I missed it.
When we had less regulations than we do now? But go ahead, Brandon.
No. We had a free capital society economy.
Okay, go ahead.
Prior to 1913, before the Federal Reserve was created, and before the income tax was created, that would be a huge part of it. We're still living off some of the benefits of the late 1800s. I mean, that was some of the biggest booms we've seen in the big tycoons that helped build this country. But Marie, I do appreciate your perspective. But Marie, you got to remember too.
I have one real question, and labor could not organize because the government would not let them organize, and the government when they tried to organize, the government would move in and stop them. And if you think that's free capital, you're crazy. Well, you pick and choose. You don't have good education.
Well, I appreciate that, Marie, but you got to think, too, back in the 1950s, back in post-war America, we also had a gold-backed currency. That was before Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971. We had a lot smaller government. We had a lot less regulations. We had a more entrepreneurial spirit because people had the opportunity to build a life for themselves. And that is being taken away from us. As the government grows, the private sector decreases. It's a zero-sum game, and people are becoming worse off as the size of government grows. That's an indisputable historical fact. So yes, sure, a lot of these things were great back then, even 50 years ago, even 25 years ago, because we had less government involvement in our day-to-day lives.
Well, I think that from an economic and a social and a political point of view, that there are a lot of arguments there to be made, and they can't be just generalizations, okay? And some of what you say may be well true. I think one of the other things with our big cities is when you offer help to people, then they come from all over. So you're not looking at the same population that's not getting help.
That's a fair point. I mean, part of the reason we have so many problems in Colorado is because of all this subsidized, you can be an illegal alien, you can be in the country legally, get free medical care, you can get free food, you can get free housing, you can get all these things. So, of course, you're going to build a system that becomes imbalanced and it becomes fragile.
And if you live in Douglas County and you get sick and you don't have insurance, you can go to Denver General. And you don't have to pay, the Denver taxpayers pay for it. And that's been an issue for 15, 20 years.
It's a major issue, and we're facing some horrible consequences that are coming around the corner as our state government is perpetually $1 billion out of sync in our budget, and our city government of Denver.
The Denver taxpayers, they pay for the lily white suburb people who don't have hospitals, and they're sick people who are poor.
Are they really going? I don't know. The Highlands Ranch mom's going to Denver General? I don't know. Marie in Denver, I appreciate the call. Thanks. That was a fun debate to kick off the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to continue. Now, though, it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Monday morning, 50 and sunny. Feels like maybe 47 out there in Denver right now. Expecting a high of 71 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the DJT administration is denying the state of Colorado disaster aid following wildfires and flooding. Governor Polis accused the president of playing political games and urged him to reconsider. A president can unlock additional federal assistance by declaring a major disaster under the Stafford Act.
Confused. I'm just so confused. We tried to keep the guy off the ballot, and now he doesn't want to send us money?
Imagine that.
Wow.
You can thank Grizzy for that.
It's called the chicken's coming home to roost, right?
You got it. I am right there with you. Thanks, Grizzy. Good job. Just remember these corrupt politicians from Colorado and the games that they play. A record number of Americans expected to travel at least 50 miles from home this holiday season. According to AAA's projections, over 122 million are expected to travel during the holidays. Average gas prices in the U.S. are down $0.05 a gallon from last week. Cheapest gas in the area, the Costco in Westminster, $1.92 a gallon if you're driving by there right now. Go get it. Go get it. And if you drove too far, you can go to the Costco in Thornton and get that same deal. The U.S. Coast Guard is in active pursuit of a third vessel off the coast of Venezuela. If successful, it would be the second such operation this weekend.
The U.S. Coast Guard had a seizure warrant for the Bella 1, but the tanker refused to submit, instead turning around and fleeing, leading to, the U.S. said, an active pursuit.
Thank you, Nick Harper. That was Nick Harper. Thank you, sir. Deputy AG Todd Blanche is defending redactions in the first batch of files related to Epstein. Blanche says the focus remains on protecting victims, with hundreds of lawyers going over every single document prior to releasing them. All right, the Broncos playing host to the Jags from Jacksonville at Mile High on Sunday early in the third. Broncos down 17-10.
Right, the majority of the time.
Hand off Harvey, and now a big run up the middle. Breaking tackles, and R.J. Harvey on the move. Down the sideline. Harvey diving for the pylon. Touchdown Broncos.
Wow, just a beautiful run. Man. And dove for the end zone after he broke two tackles. Tied at 17. Later in the third, 1st and goal for the Jags from the 1.
Lawrence will keep. Lawrence will walk in, and the Jaguars lead once more.
Trevor Lawrence, 279 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in the air. And that one on the ground, Bo Nix, 352 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But the Broncos lose it 34-20 against the Jags. Broncos still lead the AFC West. They're 12-3, and they'll be at Kansas City Christmas Day. Only have a couple days to prepare for this one. This one could be really ugly. A meaningless game for the Chiefs, and there will be plenty of empty seats in that stadium, you would think. Jeff said $36 tickets, so if you want to drive to KC to watch the Broncos, you could do that. Let's see. Let's hear from Sean Payton.
I mean, look, it reared its head tonight, though, so we've got to look at it. You know, there were space plays, and, you know, we just have to be better.
Better at tackling. That was the question. Gotta wrap up. Wrap up, hold on tight, and tackle. It's called tackle football. And Bo Nix.
We have put ourselves in a great spot, in a great position, and so everybody, we're going to get their best shot, you know, respectfully, and then we're also, you know, continuing to try to go out there and find wins ourselves. So I think it's, you know, you just can't become complacent in this situation, and I don't think we have by any means. I think we just, you know, came out a little bit, you know, didn't fire on every single cylinder, and we got caught.
Good job by him saying firing. When players say clicking on all cylinders, that drives a lot of people crazy. So nice job, Bo. Turning Points Amfest is in the books. VPJD on Sunday.
And I know many of you miss our dear friend Charlie Kirk. So do I. I miss his optimism. I miss his energy. I miss the phone calls where we'd strategize about how to get this or that GOP congressman to get off their ass and do something. But most of all, I miss Charlie's wisdom. I miss his reminder that politics is not a dress rehearsal or a game. We are making decisions that will save our country and give the American people a shot at their dreams again.
Yes. And Nicki Minaj was there on stage, whatever. No substance. Glad she's on our side. That's great. But really, come on. Eric Kirk interviewed her. There you go. So I agree with what Charlie said about Nicki Minaj.
Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
I agree. And then yesterday.
And what do you think about for young men? For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum.
Okay,
yes.
I'll take that.
See, they're young men. You have...
Oh, Lord. It just got worse. Wow. Really? Did she need to be up there? I don't think so, but what do I know? Retired Delta Force operator Mike Glover, he talks about the Charlie Kirk assassination a few days ago.
The day after, I talked to a high-level CIA official. Very high. And he told me, I don't even know if I should say this.
I think you should absolutely say it.
He told me that the FBI is not cooperating with him, and he is trying to corroborate potential foreign influence and was getting blocked out of every opportunity to confirm or deny that. And it was written off as no foreign influence less than 48 hours in. And this guy has access to the President of the United States.
This is so many questions. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up tomorrow. The Avalanche extended their winning streak to 5 games with a 5-1 win over the Wild in Minnesota. Nathan MacKinnon, 2 goals. Cale Makar and Brock Nelson each had a goal and 2 assists. Hoops tonight in Lodo. Nuggets play host to the Jazz. They'll tip it off at 7 o'clock. And if you're at home, Phillip Rivers and the Colts try to beat the Niners tonight as he goes for his first win after his return. 46 in Superior, 49 in Englewood, 50 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill, and Brandon is in for Billy, and he's done a great job today. Great show. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Unseasonably warm, dry weather will continue through another week and through this Christmas week here in Denver with much above average temperatures and likely dry conditions, although the high country by Christmas Day will be getting some chances of snow. The Front Range and Eastern Plains will stay dry. 60s and lower 70s today, mid to upper 30s tonight, mid to upper 60s tomorrow, mid to upper 60s for Wednesday, and into Thursday, a bit cooler for Friday and the weekend. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy's out. And Adam, we are getting requests for the song that was such a hit last week. The Trump Christmas Carol. Can you play it?
He's flying in loud, wrapped in red, white, and blue, making promises bigger than the North Pole view. He's got a list, it's tremendous, they say. Best list ever made, believe me, okay. He says prices are dropping, jobs everywhere, factories humming, flags in the air. Santa Trump is coming to town. Gas is so cheap you won't believe the sound. Prices down, jobs all around. Santa Trump is
Coming to town. I love it. Thank you, Mark Crowley, for that. That's a banger. Text messages, love to hear it. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Alicio. Good morning, Alicio. You're on with Jeff and Brandon Wark.
Awesome. Hey, guys. Good morning. Thank you for having me on. It's a great show. I just wanted to make 3 really quick comments. Number 1, I am of the opinion that the boomer generation completely set up Gen X to thrive in every single way by increasing government spending. And now millennials and Gen Zs are paying that ultimate price where we see debt to GDP at 120 to 125%. So I totally disagree with the old caller. You can't just save your way into prosperity. You've got to make moves in this economy, and that's what they left us to work with. Number 2, I really do appreciate Brandon's perspective of criticizing those that need criticism. And I just wanted to ask you, what are the best ways, or what are the things in common that libertarians and Republicans can agree on and hopefully drive out, the votes, to get good people elected into office?
Lowering taxes, reducing the size and scope of government. Those are the 2 big things. Sure, there's a lot of social issues. I know Jeff and I had a debate a while back on marijuana in the past, and maybe we'll disagree on those things. That's okay. Disagreement can be healthy in a democratic society. But ultimately, lowering taxes, getting the government out of our lives, we know that's going to increase prosperity. It's going to improve our quality of life. It's going to make things better. Ultimately, right? We want high-paying jobs. We want better employers in Colorado. We want to have safe communities. Those are the things we can focus on. Those are the things that voters care about, and we got to focus on affordability. Affordability is going to decide the 2026 elections here in Colorado. Who's got the better plan? We know the socialists. We know all the Democrats on that side. What they're going to offer is free stuff. We're going to make everybody else pay for it, except for you, Mr. Voter. We're going to give you what you want. And the Republicans need to have a better, compelling message that's proven in history that free markets and freedom ultimately is going to make our lives better. So
Alicia, a response, and I think you had a third point.
Yep. And then my third point is like, I really don't like when people idolize politicians. I know the left does that a whole ton, and they've got their superstars, and the right does too. But, it's okay to say that the president probably missed the mark on one thing, right? He's not Einstein. Even Einstein got things wrong. And I think the president's doing a great job. I just think that it would be healthy for people to go, well, I don't totally agree with that, versus, agree with everything the president says and then take it at face value. Even though he's done good things, I don't think he's perfect either.
All right, so Alicio and Brandon, I want to ask you about this because tomorrow I'm going to have Deep Singh Badesha on Democrats, Socialists of America. He agrees with Trump as well as Mamdani that the appeal that's winning right now is to the fact that everything's so expensive. It's so difficult to get ahead. And both those guys had that message. Donald Trump saying it was Joe Biden's fault. He's the reason why you can't afford things. Mamdani saying it's the billionaires' fault. They're the reasons why you can't afford things. Who's right? Does that type of common man appeal work? And how do you do it in a state where everyone believes that the government is the one that's going to provide the compassionate care out there? Alicia, I'll give you the first stab at this.
Yeah, I am personally convinced that it's not necessarily the billionaires' fault. I think government regulation ultimately prices the middle class out of assets because they're the ones that take the heaviest hit when inflation hits. And the billionaires tend to have money lying around to buy up those assets and then have those prices increase so that the middle class can't buy them again. So I think it really does depend on the government. When the government comes down with harsh regulations, when you got to put, 30 fire extinguishers in a home, it's hard to afford that kind of thing, and that's where billionaires can buy up the properties and then increase the value of those. So in essence, I really do think that the government is pricing out the middle class, and it's basically creating two, the billionaire class and the lower income class.
Brandon, your response.
Wow. That was great stuff there. 100% agree. I think you hit some nails on the head there. It's oftentimes the billionaires working in concert with the government, right? With these politicians, with all these nonprofits, with all these special interest groups, kind of colluding together behind the scenes. And sure, some people are going to benefit, but ultimately they benefit because they're using the government to get what they want, to get those assets, to take away our ability to build a good life for ourselves. And yeah, of course, the people who are working with the politicians are the ones that are going to succeed at that. So not too surprising when you really look at it from that perspective. And I think it's important to have that perspective. But ultimately, to Jeff's question, who's responsible? I mean, it's the federal government on so many levels, and then our state government. But we have to be making that case going into 2026. We are such a heavily regulated state. Talk about construction defect reform. Talk about all these things that are chasing good jobs out of Colorado. All this inflation that's occurring, and a lot of it is due to the federal government. And Trump was right to point that out when he ran. But he's got to do something about it, or else we're going to have a rough midterms.
Alicio, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Alicio's line will be open 303-696-1971. All right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I could achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You will feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there is no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. Simply put, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Joan in Lakewood. Good morning, Joan. You're on with Jeff and Brandon Wark.
Good morning. Merry Christmas, guys. I called because they were saying, well, why didn't they have prosperity right away? After the war, we had Kwanzaa huts. We had a major housing problem after they came back and everybody wanted a house. So it's not like we haven't seen housing problems before. And the other thing that she was saying about how Denver Health and Hospitals is funded by Denver taxes and all of the suburbs send. That's wrong. Denver Health and Hospitals, majority of its billing, because I worked there, is Medicaid. And Medicaid, the last time I looked, was a federal program. So my taxes are paying for that.
That's fair, Joan. I appreciate that.
I think that if we got rid of some of these building regulations, because the first house I had, it was interesting because it was on a large lot and a small house, only 850 square feet, because people used to live within their means.
I wonder how much of it is that, right? They rely on DoorDash food delivery on a daily basis for dinner, and then they're like, well, I can't afford a house. Plus, I want a 4-car garage and a pool in the back. Brandon, Wark, your response.
No, and Joan, Merry Christmas to you as well. You bring up some great points. You know, we need starter homes. We need starter jobs, right? And that's when they raise minimum wage and they make these things unrealistic where, you know, we have so many people who are trying to promise, hey, we're going to get you a little McMansion, you know, we're going to get you this high-paying job. We're going to promise you all these things. And it's like, no. Like you said, Joan, people got to live within their means. You start out somewhere, right? You start out at a lower-paying job. You start out in a small house and you work hard and you save and you put in your efforts. That is the American dream. You can achieve your goals if you're willing to put in the work, but we got to get the government out of the way.
Yep. Joan, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out this week on a much-deserved vacation. We're going to have a lot of friends sitting in through Christmas Eve. Today is Brandon Wark, Free State, Colorado. Tomorrow, Deep Singh, Badesha, Democrats, Socialists of America. So I'm going from far right to far left. Brandon, let's talk Venezuela. Libertarian. You're a member of Libertarians. You're looking at what Trump's doing in Venezuela. They're now pursuing their third tanker. They've essentially created a blockade. You see what Trump's doing. What's your analysis? What do you think he's doing there?
Trump wants regime change in Venezuela for sure. They want the Maduro regime out. They want to put their people in there. They want it to become another U.S. proxy state. And it's dangerous. It's playing with fire. It's not right. I'm glad we have voices in Congress and the Senate who are pushing back on the president. But, I mean, Trump's calling it a total blockade on Venezuelan tankers. Now, sure, they've already boarded 2 of them. The second one, I believe, was this Saturday. And there's a third one that kind of got away from them, actually, believe it or not. And they're pursuing it still. But, you know, I've heard there's a Russian tanker coming in, too, to get some oil. What are they going to do? If you have a national Russian tanker coming in to get oil from Venezuela, are you going to try and board that and try and seize that? I mean, ultimately speaking, Jeff, you know, doing this and seizing ships and having a total blockade, it's an act of war. It is. And it's moving us in the wrong direction. I mean, Trump campaigned on being a peace president, and he still talks about that every day about his 8 or 18 wars, whatever it is that he ended. And, you know, that's what we want. The people want peace. We're sick and tired of the wars. The global war on terrorism was a disaster, and so many people, so many good Americans had their lives ruined and were injured in that. And what did it get us? We still have the Taliban in Afghanistan. We still have Islamic radicals taking over countries like in Syria. We still have all of these problems. The war is not the answer. And especially in Venezuela, it's going to be a bad situation if we get a coup in there, or if we get a civil war instigated in Venezuela, or if we, God forbid, invade. It's bad news ultimately.
I got 2 words for you, Brandon Wark. Monroe Doctrine. That means the United States is the 500-pound gorilla in the Western Hemisphere. We're the big ones. We run the show. We're in control of it. No more of this Russian, Chinese influence in Cuba, in Honduras, in Venezuela. We're the big ones here. We're taking out the communist regimes. You said it would be a terrible thing that what we're doing in Venezuela, worse than having a puppet government propped up by the Russians?
Hey, I'm about as anti-communist as you can get. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we know foreign intervention leads to disaster. It creates serious issues. I don't remember who said it, but there's a great quote out there. It says, war is the breeding ground of unintended consequences. The last thing we want in our own hemisphere, I mean, we've dealt with issues. We got the TDA, this Venezuelan criminal cartel operating, setting up their headquarters in Denver, being denied by our governor and terrible Congressman Jason Crow. I mean, can you imagine the flood of migrants if the Venezuelan regime collapses? I mean, it's not good. It's not good overall. It's not good for the people of Venezuela. It's not good for the people of America. There needs to be a political solution. We can't have some sort of war or some sort of military solution to these problems. So I think we're moving in the wrong direction. I think it's dangerous, and I think that I think Trump knows that. You know, he's a very smart man. He knows that we don't necessarily want war, but ultimately they're going to do what they can to provoke regime change within the country, and that's playing with fire.
But, I mean, you would want a regime change, wouldn't you? I mean, do you want Maduro to continue to operate there? I mean, it's a corrupt regime. The people, there's no democracy. The people can't vote him out. He's propped up by China and Russia. So what do you do if there's not a regime change? You just allow him to continue to send Venezuelan gangs?
You know, that's a great point, Jeff, and I think those are some big questions, right? You know, I wouldn't say that the United States government can't solve all the problems of the world. You know what I mean? Look at our own country and the direction that we're going, the dissatisfaction among our own people. To go into another foreign country and say, well, we're going to solve your problems. We're going to make life better for you. You know, you just got to turn over all your oil reserves. You got to let our big companies come in.
We're not trying to solve their problems. We're tired of dealing. These people are our neighbors, and they're a bunch of commie wackos. Cuba, for instance, right now, headline out of the Wall Street Journal, U.S. blockade of Venezuela pushes Cuba towards collapse. You may see a collapse of the communist regime in Cuba that's 90 miles off the shore of Miami. It could become a haven of free market development and beautiful capitalism in a wonderful beach resort down in Cuba, and people would love it. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
That'd be wonderful. It'd be wonderful if that would happen. But unfortunately, that's not the history. We've seen what regime change do. We see them putting in these puppet governments, whether they're serving the U.S. State Department or the CIA or some foreign power. It's not necessarily better. You know what I mean?
But they are puppet governments. They're serving Russia and China. Why not put in puppet governments that serve us?
You know, I mean, you got a good point there. Don't get me wrong. You know, I think, Venezuela exports nearly 750,000 barrels of oil per day. Half of that does go to China. So, I mean, this is definitely a pivot to try and curtail China a little bit to go after Cuba. And you see Marco Rubio, who's big on regime change in Cuba. I can't fault him entirely for that. Don't get me wrong. But U.S. intervention into these foreign countries is not necessarily going to end up in the right direction for us as a country here. I don't think it's going to work out well. I think we need to focus on our own neighborhoods, our own territory here in the United States. We have terrible issues here. And, how much is this all going to cost too, Jeff? Are we going to spend millions or billions of dollars trying to interfere in these foreign countries and try and overthrow their governments and put in puppet governments? And then guess what? All of a sudden somebody worse pops up and maybe an Islamist takes over or some other further Marxist. How long does it go on? Are we perpetually at war with the entire world to make sure that there are pro-American regimes serving everywhere? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that's been what they've been trying to do for so long in terms of our State Department and intelligence agencies and our military. But, the United States countries, we're facing some serious issues, whether it's the deficit, whether it's government spending, whether it's a lot of issues that people are facing. And I think if Trump's making a mistake by focusing on Venezuela, going after this, and this is where the people like the Mandamis and these Marxists and socialists come in and say, okay, the president, the Republicans are not focusing on the actual problems that you are dealing with in your day-to-day life. They're off in some foreign country trying to do what they're doing here, and we're all paying for it.
Look, I would love, Mr. Wark, if it was all free of foreign entanglements, right? Whether it's the free market and everybody was playing on equal grounds. They're not. You got slave labor happening in that country that drives down prices here, so tariffs have to be implemented. I would love for Russia and China not to be involved in Venezuela, but they are. And this is our hemisphere. It is Trump engaging in the Monroe Doctrine, bringing strength back and saying you're not going to play in our backgrounds. All right, Adam, why don't we open up the phone line? See if anybody wants to join in on this debate. Give us a call. 303-696-1971 is what Trump's doing in Venezuela and Cuba. Influencing, bringing power and strength and American might to the Western Hemisphere, reminding everybody who the big dog in the yard is? Or is it just another foreign entanglement, more money going outside of our borders, troops risking their lives? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. All right, let's talk the gun room. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know I care deeply about freedom, responsibility, and supporting local businesses that have stood the test of time. That's why I want to tell you about the Gun Room. The Gun Room has been Denver's oldest firearms dealer since 1982. And when you walk in, you really feel it. Real wood, real craftsmanship, a shop that actually looks like a gun store, less plastic, corporate stuff, more tradition. Wayne, by the way, a man of tremendous faith, loves this country, loves the state of Colorado, and is committed to working here, even in the midst of all this crazy lib shutdown stuff that's happening. They buy, sell, and consign any and all firearms from antique and vintage to hunting and tactical, and they do something those big box stores never will. They work closely with families who've lost a loved one and need help handling a gun collection with care and respect. Inventory changes daily with over 1,000 firearms in stock, so if you're thinking about buying, especially with new restrictive gun laws coming, you should act now. Support local, support family-owned, support freedom. Visit denvergunroom.com or call 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300, denvergunroom.com. That's denvergunroom.com, a Colorado original. All right, phone lines hot. We'll get to them next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show. Brandon Wark sitting in. You're listening to 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy out this week. Live in studio with me is Brandon Wark, Free State, Colorado. Go to freestatecolorado.com for the Liberty Lifestyle, my libertarian friend. Tomorrow, the socialists will be in. It's a wild week. It's the classic week on the Jeff and Bill Show. All right, we are talking Venezuela. Is what Trump doing? Embrace of the Monroe Doctrine. America's the big dog in the Western Hemisphere. We're tired of China meddling and Russia meddling, and these little communist countries have got to go. Maduro's got to go. We're tired of Venezuela sending up its drugs, its all those problems up into our country, the Venezuelan gangs, or is this just more American interventionism that's going to fail? Look what happened in Vietnam. Look at what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan. Let's go to the phone lines. Juan in Denver. Good morning, Juan. You're on with Jeff and Brandon Wark.
Hey, good morning, guys. Love your show. I am from Venezuela. I've been here in Denver since 2007. And I saw what was going on, and that's the reason I left. Venezuela became at least the leaders in Venezuela, the regime became a tool for negative things in this hemisphere in the world. My dad is a former Navy admiral from Venezuela, and he had information in 2006 about Iranian bases in an island in Venezuela, which has been in the news in the last month or two. So quickly, because I know it's a call, the Venezuela problem, if it's not dealt with now, it'll be a way larger problem in 10, 20 years. It's a growing virus, and it's just getting worse. And I understand. I'm also anti-war, anti-intervention, but I see that they keep growing. And
yeah, Juan, interesting, fascinating perspective. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Brandon Wark, your response.
No, I appreciate it. Definitely, Juan. Really appreciate the commentary and the insight you have, especially from actually being from Venezuela. So, I think you hit some good points there. There is going to be a growing issue, right? And that's one of the concerns, too, that we have a country that's hostile to us, not that far away, that can influence a lot of what happens in our own country, and being kind of that epicenter for whether it's, for other foreign-backed regimes or drugs or gangs or whatever it is. But ultimately, what's the solution? If the U.S. government comes in and tries to replace the government, what are they going to do? They're going to replace it with somebody who's maybe just as oppressive in Venezuela. I mean, is there a possibility of achieving some sort of democratic or Republican form of government, in terms of building a constitutional place? I don't know that that's going to be a potential possibility.
Yeah, Juan, I want to ask you that because wasn't it the Venezuelans that put Chavez in? So is there any hope, real quick, just give us a quick 30 seconds, any hope that Venezuelans would actually want a good, stable democracy?
Yes, Venezuelans want a good, stable democracy. Unfortunately, the 25 years since Chavez started has, in a way, it's tough to explain, but it kind of killed Venezuelan spirit. And since 2002, every election has been rigged. Of course, a lot of people would say, where's the proof? But it's what you see in the streets, right? You see how people talk about it, but then suddenly the results are totally opposite.
Yeah, well, I agree. I hope that's the case, and I really appreciate the call. We're going to wrap up with a few more calls here real quick. Let's go to James in Denver. Good morning, James. You're on with Jeff and Brandon Wark.
Hey, good morning. I'm a Texan. I'm just visiting this week, and I'm listening to your station, and I like it a lot. And I wouldn't call Colorado a free state from where I'm at, but I'm glad there's people working on it. So, look, I'm in a little bit of the same boat. My daughter-in-law she escaped Venezuela with her family about 15 years ago to Puerto Rico. There's two things that I heard this morning I'm going to comment on. The stopping and boarding of tankers and seizing of tankers is a mistake, and for exactly the reason you said. What are we going to do, stop a Chinese or Russian tanker, risk them firing back and starting World War III down in the Caribbean? It's just crazy. So that practice needs to end. If we want to disrupt the oil flow, we can hit their refineries, in 2 seconds, and then that's between us and Venezuela. But we risk drawing in a third country, major superpower on this, or any other country for that matter. It hurts our relations. And so we're trying to build relations, not end them. Did I lose y'all?
We got you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Give us your last comment here, real quick.
My last one goes back to our drug boat blowing up. I'm all for killing drug runners. I'm all for blowing the crap out of them. However, there are rules of engagement on the high seas, and I still believe what we're doing and the way we're doing it is borderline war crime. We need to do it the right way and stop those boats, board them, confirm the drugs, and then seize them. And it's a better PR move for us to show that to the American public, and we get the benefit of being able to interrogate the drivers, find out exactly who's supplying them, exactly where they're taking these drugs, and then we go after those targets. But we're missing a huge intelligence opportunity by just blowing them up and letting it offload. And what's going to happen is, I guarantee you there are people on those boats being trafficked, women and children primarily. And it's only a matter of time till we blow one up, and now we got dead bodies floating in the water, getting put on video by the Venezuelan
James,
fishermen.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. We're up against a break here. Brandon, 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Final
James,
words.
you hit the nail on the head there. It's a criminal operation. We got to treat these people like criminals. It's not this quote-unquote foreign terrorist organization like the president's calling it. We shouldn't be murdering these people in the middle of the boats in the ocean, like I said. Like you were saying there, I think it is borderline war crimes, and it's good that people are recognizing that. But ultimately, it is a PR battle. It's a media battle. It's a marketing battle. And ultimately, if we want to talk about the bad stuff happening in Venezuela, it needs to be exposed, and we got to bring it to the forefront and get it out there in front of the public.
PR battle? No, it's a drug runner battle. Blow them all up. I love seeing each one of them. That's what they deserve. They're killing Americans, and they're bringing poison here. Well, that's the debate happening on the Jeff and Bill Show. Brandon Wark filling in. You did a fantastic job. Good job. First time doing a full 4-hour live radio show, huh?
Oh, I really appreciate it, Jeff.
That
It's
was
been
fun.
a blast. It's so much fun. This is awesome. Make sure you're tuning into 710 KNUS every day, guys. It's a really good stuff, and the calls, the text, it's been a lot of fun. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank
His
you.
website, freestatecolorado.com, freestatecolorado.com. Go check out Brandon Wark. He's doing great work. Tomorrow, I've got Deep Singh Badesha, and the socialists are here. It's going to be wild. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.